The 60-day rejection experiment that ended my marriage. 57 rejections in 60 days. But the real kicker? I discovered my wife was having an affair the entire time she was calling me desperate for wanting basic intimacy. The text messages I found on her phone made my blood run cold. He tried again last night, LOL. I just told him I was tired. These men are so pathetic when they're needy. She was literally mocking me to her lover while I was sleeping in the bed next to her. If you're into honest stories about relationships, trust, and betrayal, hit that follow button. You won't want to miss the next one. Let me start from the beginning, because this story gets so much worse before it gets better. My wife Rachel and I had been married for 9 years. We'd had our ups and downs, but I thought we were solid. Good jobs, nice house, 2 kids who adored us both. From the outside, we looked like the perfect couple, but something started changing about 4 months ago. Rachel became distant, cold. She'd come home from work and barely acknowledge me. She'd spend hours on her phone, always tilting the screen away when I walked by. At first, I blamed work stress. She'd gotten a promotion 6 months earlier, new responsibilities, longer hours. I tried to be understanding and supportive. "How was your day?" I'd ask over dinner. "Fine," she'd respond without looking up from her phone. "Anything interesting happen?" "Nope." It was like talking to a teenager, not my wife of 9 years. But the real change was in our bedroom. We went from a healthy, intimate relationship to absolutely nothing. And I mean nothing. The first few times she rejected me, I didn't think much of it. "I'm exhausted," she'd say. "Maybe tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. After 2 weeks of this, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. That's when I decided to document what was happening, just to make sure I wasn't imagining things. I created a simple note on my phone. Every time I tried to initiate intimacy, I'd record the date, time, and her response. I wasn't trying to be manipulative or keep score. I just needed to understand if there was actually a pattern or if I was being paranoid. The pattern was worse than I imagined. Day 1, I'm tired from work. Day 3, not tonight, I have a headache. Day 5, I just want to watch this show. Day 7, can't you see I'm busy? Day 10, you're being too pushy. By day 15, the rejections were getting more personal, more cruel. "God, you're so needy. Can't you take a hint? I feel like you're pressuring me." But here's where it gets really twisted. While she was rejecting me every single night, she was getting more secretive about her phone, more defensive when I asked simple questions, working late more often. The breaking point came on day 43. I'd gotten home early and decided to surprise her with her favorite takeout. I found her on the couch, laughing at something on her phone. When she saw me, she quickly flipped it face down. "Who were you texting?" I asked casually. "Just Sarah from work," she said, but her face flushed red. That night, I tried one more time to connect with her, not just physically, but emotionally. I sat down beside her and took her hand. "Rachel, I feel like we're growing apart. When's the last time we really talked, really connected?" She pulled her hand away. "Here we go again. Everything always comes back to sex with you. This isn't about sex. This is about us feeling like strangers. Maybe if you weren't so desperate all the time, I'd actually want to be around you." Desperate. That word hit me like a physical blow. Desperate? I'm desperate for wanting intimacy with my wife. "You're like a dog in heat. It's honestly disgusting." I stared at her, not believing what I was hearing. This was the woman I'd been married to for 9 years, the mother of my children, and she was looking at me with genuine disgust. That's when something snapped inside me. "You know what, Rachel? You're absolutely right. I have been desperate, but not for sex. I've been desperate for my wife to act like she actually loves me." She rolled her eyes. "Here comes the drama." "No drama, just clarity. This marriage is over." Her expression changed instantly. "What did you just say?" "You heard me. I'm done being treated like a pathetic annoyance in my own home. You're talking about divorce because I don't want to have sex every night?" "I'm talking about divorce because you've shown me exactly what you think of me, and I finally believe you." That night, she slept in the guest room. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we'd gotten to this point. The next morning, I made a decision that would change everything. I was getting dressed for work when I noticed Rachel had left her phone on the nightstand. She was in the shower, and something told me to look. I know it was wrong. I know it was a violation of privacy. But after 43 days of rejection and cruelty, I needed to know if my suspicions were justified. What I found was so much worse than I'd imagined. The first thing I saw was a text thread with someone named Derek. The messages went back 3 months. Derek: can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. Rachel: me too. Just have to make sure he doesn't get suspicious. Derek: how's the home situation? Rachel: same as always. He tried again last night, LOL. I just told him I was tired. These men are so pathetic when they're needy. Derek: poor guy has no idea what he's missing. Rachel: trust me, he's not missing much. You're so much better at everything. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking. Rachel: he's getting more persistent. Asked if we could talk about our relationship. Derek: what did you tell him? Rachel: called him desperate. You should have seen his face. Derek: you're terrible. I love it. Rachel: he has no idea I'm getting the best sex of my life from you while he begs like a puppy. The messages went on, months of them, detailed descriptions of their encounters, jokes about how pathetic and needy I was, plans for future meetups. But the worst part wasn't the affair itself, it was the timeline. According to the messages, she'd started sleeping with Derek the same week she began rejecting me. Every time she told me she was tired, she was actually saving her energy for him. Every time she called me needy or desperate, she was rushing off to be with her lover. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my personal email. Then I put her phone back exactly where I found it. When Rachel came out of the bathroom, I was sitting on the bed, fully dressed. You're quiet this morning, she said, toweling her hair. Just thinking. About what? I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman I'd loved for 9 years, the mother of my children. The person who'd been systematically destroying my self-esteem while laughing about it with another man. About how well you've been playing this game. Her hand froze in her hair. What game? The one where you make me feel like a desperate loser while you're fucking Derek. The color drained from her face. The towel dropped from her hands. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the screenshots. 3 months, Rachel. 3 months of you rejecting me while laughing about it with your boyfriend. She sat down heavily on the bed. For a moment, I thought she might deny it, try to gaslight me, make me question what I'd seen with my own eyes. Instead, she did something worse. She shrugged. So now you know. That's it. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? That it didn't mean anything? Something. Anything that shows you understand what you've done. She stood up and started getting dressed. Look, Derek and I, we have something you and I never had. Which is what? Passion, real chemistry, not this routine, obligatory married people stuff. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Routine? Obligatory? Rachel, I've been trying to connect with you for months. Connect? She laughed bitterly. You mean paw at me every night like I owe you something. I mean show affection to my wife, the way married people do. Marriage killed our spark a long time ago. Derek brought it back. I stared at her, finally seeing her clearly for the first time in years. So you decided to have an affair instead of talking to me about any of this. I decided to be happy instead of settling for mediocrity. And you thought the best way to do that was to humiliate me for months while sneaking around behind my back? I thought the best way was to find someone who actually excites me. The casual cruelty in her voice was breathtaking. No remorse, no acknowledgement of the pain she'd caused. Just cold, selfish justification. Well, you're free to explore that excitement full-time now, I said, standing up. I'm filing for divorce today. For the first time since I'd confronted her, she looked nervous. Don't you think that's a little extreme? Extreme? You've been cheating on me for 3 months while making me feel like garbage for wanting basic intimacy with my wife. What part of that isn't extreme? People work through infidelity. We have kids to think about. The kids deserve to see what a healthy relationship looks like. This isn't it. She followed me downstairs. Derek isn't. It's not serious. It's just physical. Just physical? You told him I was pathetic. You laughed about my feelings with him. You planned your lies around your fuck schedule with him. We were just talking. You were just humiliating your husband for entertainment. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Where are you going? To see a lawyer, to start separating our finances, to begin the process of getting away from someone who thinks treating their spouse like garbage is funny. Wait, she called after me. Can we at least talk about this? I turned back to look at her. We did talk about it. For 60 days. Every time you rejected me, every time you called me desperate, every time you made me feel like wanting my own wife was pathetic. That was us talking. I finally heard you loud and clear. That day, I did exactly what I said I would. I saw a lawyer, started the divorce process, and began separating our finances. By the time I got home, Rachel had called in sick to work and was waiting for me with red eyes and a completely different attitude. I made a mistake, she said as soon as I walked in. A terrible mistake. Which mistake are you referring to? The affair, the lies, or getting caught? All of it. I don't know what I was thinking. You were thinking you could have your cake and eat it too. Stable husband at home, exciting lover on the side. It wasn't like that. I showed her another screenshot from her phone, one where she specifically told Derek she was never leaving me because she liked the security too much. Wasn't it? She broke down crying. Okay, yes, it was like that at first, but then I realized what I was losing. You realized what you were losing when you got caught. There's a difference. I love you, she sobbed. I know I have a terrible way of showing it, but I do love you. Love isn't a feeling you hide while you're betraying someone. Love is action, daily choices, consistent behavior. You've shown me what your love looks like, and I want no part of it. Over the next week, she tried everything. Tears, anger, bargaining, promises to change. I'll break it off with Derek completely, she said. We can go to counseling. We can start over. You already broke it off with me. You've been breaking it off with me for months. Now I'm just making it official. I was confused. Going through something, it doesn't mean our whole marriage is worthless. It means you decided our marriage was worthless months ago. I'm just catching up. The thing that amazed me was how quickly her tune changed when she realized I was serious. The woman who'd been calling me desperate and pathetic for months was suddenly desperate herself. She started initiating intimacy for the first time in forever. Not because she wanted to, but because she was panicking. See, she said after trying to seduce me one night, we still have chemistry. We can make this work. Rachel, you're trying to seduce me to avoid consequences. That's not chemistry. That's manipulation. I'm trying to show you that I want to fight for us. You're trying to avoid losing your comfortable life. If you wanted to fight for us, you would have done it before you started fucking someone else. The divorce moved quickly. Rachel hired a lawyer who tried to paint me as unreasonable, walking away from a marriage that could be saved. But the evidence of her affair made things pretty straightforward. During one mediation session, her lawyer actually argued that infidelity wasn't grounds for divorce in our state, that I should be willing to work through it. My client is willing to attend counseling, he said. She's willing to cut off all contact with the other party. She wants to save this marriage. Your client spent 3 months humiliating my client while conducting an affair, my lawyer responded. She only wants to save the marriage now that she's facing consequences. The mediator looked at Rachel. Is it true that you were rejecting your husband's advances while simultaneously involved with someone else? Rachel's face flushed. The marriage had problems. I made poor choices in how I dealt with them. You made 63 specific rejections over 3 months while conducting an affair, I said. I have dates and documentation. The mediator's eyebrows went up. You documented the rejections? I thought something was wrong. I wanted to understand if there was a pattern or if I was imagining things. Rachel's lawyer whispered something to her. She looked mortified. The pattern, the mediator continued, coincided with the affair? Exactly, my lawyer said. She was systematically rejecting her husband while being intimate with someone else, then mocking him for his frustration. That pretty much ended any discussion of reconciliation. Even Rachel's lawyer seemed to understand that this wasn't a case of simple marital problems. 3 months later, I was divorced and living in my own place. Rachel got to keep the house, but had to buy out half my equity. She got primary custody of the kids, but I had them every other week. The first time I picked up the kids after everything was finalized, Rachel tried one last manipulation. "I hope you're happy," she said as the kids got in my car. "You destroyed our family over a mistake." I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped pretending it wasn't already destroyed. The kids are going to suffer because you couldn't forgive. The kids are going to learn that self-respect isn't optional. That's a valuable lesson. 6 months later, I ran into Derek at a coffee shop. I recognized him from photos on Rachel's phone. He was with another woman, definitely not Rachel. Curious, I did some social media stalking that night. Turns out Derek had moved on to someone new just a few weeks after my divorce was finalized. Rachel, meanwhile, was posting increasingly desperate content about finding herself and learning to be independent. A mutual friend told me Rachel had been calling her, crying about how lonely she was, how dating wasn't what she'd expected, how men her age either wanted something casual or were damaged goods from their own divorces. The irony was perfect. She'd left a marriage where she was cherished and respected because she was bored, only to enter a dating world full of men who would give her exactly the kind of treatment she'd given me. 8 months after the divorce, I met Jennifer at a bookstore. She was everything Rachel wasn't: warm, appreciative, emotionally available. Our first kiss happened naturally, without negotiation or scheduling or performance anxiety. When I told her about my marriage, she was horrified. "She rejected you 57 times while having an affair? 63 times total. But who's counting?" She laughed, then looked serious. "That's not normal behavior. Healthy people don't systematically withhold affection while mocking their partner's needs." I'm learning that. Are you worried about being vulnerable again? It was a fair question. Sometimes, but I'm more worried about settling for someone who doesn't actually want to be with me. Good. You should never have to beg for affection from someone who claims to love you. Jennifer and I have been together for over a year now. The difference is night and day. She initiates intimacy as often as I do. She appreciates effort instead of taking it for granted. She treats me like someone she actually wants to be with, not someone she's stuck with. Last month, Rachel texted me out of the blue. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us. I realize now how good I had it. Do you ever think about what might have been if I'd handled things differently?" I showed the text to Jennifer. She read it and shook her head. "What are you going to tell her?" "Nothing. There's nothing to say. She's probably realizing that the grass wasn't greener. The grass is exactly as green as you water it. She chose to let ours die while tending someone else's garden." I never responded to Rachel's text. There was no point. She'd had 60 days to choose differently, to treat me with respect, to value what we had. Instead, she chose to mock me, betray me, and gaslight me into thinking I was the problem. Some people don't realize what they have until it's gone. But by then it's too late. Not because the other person is vindictive, but because you've shown them exactly who you are when you think there are no consequences. Rachel showed me she was someone who could look me in the eye every night while planning to meet her lover. Someone who could call me pathetic for wanting basic intimacy while texting jokes about my neediness to another man. Someone who could destroy my self-esteem for entertainment. I believed her, and once I believed her, there was no going back. The rejection experiment that started as my attempt to understand what was happening in my marriage ended up being the documentation of its death. But sometimes you need evidence to accept a painful truth. Sometimes you need to count the rejections to realize that someone's actions have been telling you exactly how they feel about you. And sometimes you need to stop listening to their words and start believing their behavior. My advice to anyone in a similar situation: document everything. Not to weaponize it, but to protect yourself from your own denial. When someone shows you who they are through consistent behavior, believe them the first time. I spent 60 days hoping Rachel would change, would remember that she loved me, would start treating me with basic respect and affection. She spent those same 60 days showing me exactly who she'd become, and what she thought of me. I finally listened. If this story made you think about the importance of self-respect in relationships, follow for more honest stories about love, betrayal, and the courage to walk away when someone shows you they don't value what you offer. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to accept crumbs when you deserve the whole meal.